Okay, so we've got two presentations and delighted now to be able to introduce Meir's presentation. So this is a recorded presentation, but Meir is joining us live for the question and answers at the end of the two presentations. So please bear with us for that. If you've got questions, you could put them in the chat box. We can always pick them up from the chat box. But welcome, Meir. Thank you for this. Now, Laura, if you're happy to share his presentation now, that would be great. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good day, and thank you for inviting me for this conference. I'm going to talk today about remote rehabilitation, or it's also called telemedicine, for individuals with Rett syndrome, and I want to describe three projects that I've done. Let's start with an introduction. So physiotherapists are very hands-on kind of profession, so it's PT services are seldomly presented through remote rehabilitation because physiotherapists are always thinking about touching their clients, okay? And but the thing is that if we look at the literature, we see that home-centered or home-based interventions have been found to have high success rate for chronically disabled individuals, such as ones with Rett syndrome. And another thing is that Rett syndrome is kind of a rare disorder. Okay, the incidence of Rett syndrome is 1 in 8,000 or 10,000 live birth. And a physiotherapist who works with children might never see a girl with Rett syndrome, or actually see 1 or 2 girls with Rett syndrome through his whole career. So most of the physiotherapists working with your child with Rett syndrome are unexperienced with girls with Rett syndrome. So due to these facts, remote rehabilitation will enable remote experienced therapists to treat individuals with Rett syndrome through Skype. I mean, I'm talking about Skype because the first program was done in 2005, and at this point, Skype was the only platform available for actually directly interacting with the person on the other side. Now you can also use Zoom, you can use WhatsApp video and stuff like that. So the first project that I want to describe was done in 2005. It was actually, you can call it a pilot study, or because nobody has done it before. There were 5 participants. The age range was between 5 and 18. The average age was 8. So you can see they were very young girls. And it lasted for 6 months, and the girls showed varied functional abilities. For instance, the first girl, the most disabled girl, was unable to sit independently, while the most able girl was actually going to a regular school. She was talking, she could run, she could go up and down stairs, and was very mildly affected. From what we learned from the first project is that 6 months was a very long time, and we get most of the improvement in the first 3 months. So the second project was done in 2015 with 13 girls, and it was done in Sicily. As you can see, the age range of the girls in Sicily was much higher. It was mostly young women. And the reason we chose Sicily is because the parents told us that in Sicily, daycare centers for adults with disability are very rare and not very much appreciated. So most of the girls, most of these young women were actually sitting at home doing nothing. And again, we had various level of function. And the third project was done in northern Italy. Okay, 40 participants, varying ages, for 3 months. The second group was caught up in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown in Italy, and we couldn't move between different regions. You couldn't move between different regions in Italy So we couldn't get to their houses and do the final evaluation of the project. So the second group stayed for 4.5 months, and again varying functional abilities, and the average age was 16. So we actually had between 3 and 40 girls at all ages. What was the intervention all about? All children and families have been evaluated, meaning that we went to their houses. We saw the way, if they live in an apartment or in a house, is the child living on the second floor and had to do stairs? Do they have a park near the house? Do they live by the beach? All these things went into the evaluation and to construct the intervention program. The intervention programs were built together with families, mostly according to families' goals. We didn't come to the houses and said, okay, this is what you have to do for the next 3 months. We sat down with the parents. It takes time, it takes a few hours to discuss and interact about the girl, the availability of the family, the way they live, their daily schedule, where do they have open spaces so we can insert the different exercises. Intensity of the program was suggested according to the child and family's availability. So again, we were looking for slots during the day where we can insert the different exercises that we thought appropriate for the family, and we didn't give them a very intensive program. Only according to the family's availability, okay? And an update and supervision Skype calls were made every 2 weeks with each family, and the program was updated accordingly. This is called participatory action research. Participatory action research means that you have an initial program, and then during the performance of the program, you actually reconsider the program again and again, and you update it, and then you have a new program that starts running, and then after 2 weeks you reconsider the program again. The outcome measures. The outcome measures were goal attainment scale. Maybe a little explanation about goal attainment scale. This is the scale, okay? You can adapt any goal that you want into the scale. The current situation of the child is -2, then you set up the goal. Let's say that the child is able to stand independently for 1 second. So I would put here maybe a goal of being able to stand independently for 1 minute, and -1 would be being able to stand independently for 30 seconds, and maybe +1 would be the girl will be able to stand independently for 5 minutes, and +2 would be being able to stand independently for 10 minutes. Okay, so you can do the same with eating, with arranging the table, with going up the stairs, going down the stairs, and any goal that you want to put in is available. So this is how you actually tailor the program and the goals according to each child. And another thing that we did is we asked their parents for their satisfaction with the program. Something that is very important is that the activities were based on household appliance and equipment, about habits of the child and family, physical opportunities. Okay, for instance, if you can see here, this girl have a very serious kyphosis. Okay, so this is one of the exercises that she had to do, lying on the sofa with the arms on the armrest here. So she is extending her back and maintaining shoulder range of motion. Here on the right side, you see a girl which is usually using a wheelchair, and she's sitting here on the table kitchen, on the corner of the table kitchen, because we wanted to give her more stability. She also has left scoliosis, so she's sitting on a wedge pillow, which the family had, working against the scoliosis. So she's working on strengthening the trunk muscles and fighting her scoliosis. This young woman, okay, she used to sit on the sofa in the living room watching television. All we ask the parents is to move her to the other side of the living room, sitting on the other sofa, watching the television on the right side, so fighting against the left scoliosis that she have developed from watching the television on the left side. When we went to this family, this is a young woman of 40, and the parents said that they had a hard time washing her, bathing her, especially in the armpits, because she was losing her shoulder range of motion. So we took these pillows from the sofa, and she was sitting every day watching television and gradually increasing her shoulder range of motion. We also use indoor layout. For instance, if you can see, this girl has kyphosis. She is kind of independent. She walks by herself. You can see she can do knee standing position by herself. By the way, knee standing position is very good for activating the trunk extensors, so it's very good for the kyphosis. And here you can see we have the television on the wall, while they have in the house this divider in the living room. So the exercise for her was knee standing while watching television behind the divider. So every time she went down from knee standing, she couldn't see television, so she went back up again. So they could leave her here for long duration when she was watching her favorite cartoons. So let's go for the results. I'm not going to present all the results that we've got, just highlights from different projects. And you can see the GAS here was 1.7. You know, the maximal could be 0.2, and you actually want to get to 0. 0 is what you expect to get, and we got 1.7 because we really had very low expectation when we started this project. And you can see here a child sitting on a horse. This girl was the most affected, functionally affected girl in the project. She wasn't able to sit by herself on the floor at the beginning of the project. And when she had horseback riding lessons, the therapist was sitting behind her because she couldn't hold her body on the horse. When we finished the program, not only that she was able to sit by herself for a whole session of horseback riding, but she completely changed her attitude. And actually we've seen it in a couple of girls during the research. At the beginning of the research, she was resisting any physical activity. She was very against it. She was very tight. She didn't want anyone to touch her. At the end of the program, she was able to sit unaidedly, of course, but also to stand between two couches in the living room, and she was shouting to the mother all the time to get her for walks. She shouted for the mother, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk all the time. She just wanted to walk all the time. So this is kind of a change in attitude, which we have seen in a couple of girls. The second girl from this project that I'm going to show you, this is me dancing with the girl. She's 18 years old, and believe it or not, until her 18th birthday, she was not able to walk by herself. She always needed somebody to walk with her. And the program in her case was basically dance parties. At school and at home, they just danced with her, because what inhibited her from walking by herself was not her functional ability, but what her fear of movement. And by doing dance parties throughout every day, a couple of times, she was able to grow from her fear of movement. And the parents used to leave her in the sofa in the living room, knowing that this is safe for her and she will stay in this position, until one day they found her roaming about the house. She got up from the sofa by herself and started walking. So this is very nice outcome. Now, of course, this is not somebody with Rett syndrome, but this is the closest picture that I could find of how this girl came into the evaluation room at the beginning of the program. Her father was on one side, the mother on the other, and they were dragging her to the evaluation room while she was doing them a favor by moving her legs a bit. Okay, this girl was completely wheelchair bound. Okay, there was no doubt that if she continues in her functional state, she would use a wheelchair. She ended the program by individually walking through an obstacle course, going over obstacles, and also being able to go up and down stairs with very mild help. And you can see that we have adjusted our goals. So now the mean achievement was +1. And I remember you want 0. This is what we're looking for. And this is two more case studies from Italy, northern Italy. You can see we're still keeping our goals and still getting more than we intended for. So this girl, for instance, I know her from 8 years ago, and she has a very severe kyphosis. Actually, at the beginning of the program, she needed 3 cushions so she can lie on her back. She wasn't able to lie on the stomach. But the most significant thing is the way she changed her attitude. Okay, before the program, she was very stiff. She was holding her kyphosis and she was very rigid. And I'm going to show you this film. It was just before Christmas. And I want you to look at her eyes. This is 9 a.m. in the morning. She slept okay. She's not tired. But look at her hands. She's not doing any stereotypical movement. And look at her eyes, how she closes them. This girl learned how to meditate and how to relax her body so it can achieve a straight position. See, meditating, actually meditating. And look at the hands, no movement, no stereotypical movement. She learned how to let go. And this is another change of attitude which is very significant. I mean, everyone who saw this girl told the parents, what, she's straighter now? I mean, without any x-ray or anything. The last girl I want to show you, this is not the girl, of course, but this is the Italian Alps, okay? And the last girl that I'm going to show you lived in such an area, okay? Very mountain, very hilly, a lot of woods, a lot of forests, not a lot of very challenging terrain, okay? And this girl, at the beginning of the program, she was mostly in bed because she was able to walk independently, but the transfer from sitting to standing, or the transfer from lying down to standing, at the first 5 minutes, she was very unstable, and the parents had to be with her all the time. So she was mostly in bed, and she was only out of bed when the parents had the time to be with her so she doesn't fall. They got many exercises. One of them is this one. You can see this is an obstacle course in the living room. The girl is sitting here, I'm behind her. And the mother, these are the parents. The mother is sitting with a tablet with a cartoon that the child likes, and she's supposed to go over there to watch the video. At the beginning of the project, it took her 5 minutes to cross this obstacle course. At the end of the project, 20 seconds. And moreover, she was able to go up and down the stairs, not with a mild help, but she's able to go with the mother in this terrain every day for a walk. Now the mother is not afraid of her falling. She can handle this terrain with ease. And this is, I mean, this is a girl who was mostly in bed and now can go out into this hilly terrain and have daily walks with her mother, which will keep her equilibrium abilities. Then we asked the parents, what do they think about the project? So first we asked, what are the achievements of the child? And you can see 4 is the maximal grade you can get. We enhanced her abilities in a way we didn't consider possible, and we hear this reaction from many parents. We didn't know that she was able to do this. Okay, so don't ever think that your child can't do things. Try and try and try and train her, and she will be able to do more. The second thing we asked is the difficulty of the program, and you can see the program was clear and easy to implement, was thought by all parents. Change in abilities, equilibrium and stamina significantly improved, mostly positive. Personal adaptation to trainee. The plan was tailored to her specific abilities. All the parents agreed. Adaptation to daily life. It was easy to insert the plan into her daily situation, and continuation, we will continue doing the program. So we see a program that is very much tailored to each child and family needs, and it can be adapted along the program. So to sum up things, remote rehabilitation is an appropriate tool for physiotherapists. Such programs can be adapted to individuals with Rett syndrome. The program must be simple to understand to all involved, because the people who are actually doing the program is the parents and the educational staff. In some cases, we had therapists involved, but they were the minority. Okay, so you have to do simple exercise like the one you've seen, sitting at the edge of the table, walking across an obstacle course in the living room, knee standing, watching the television with something in front, so you have to stay in this position. The program must be adapted to availability of the parents and educational staff. As I've said before, we don't just come and lay out a program for them to do. It's an ongoing dialogue throughout the program. The program must be individually tailored, and as you can see by the parents' report, it was very nicely tailored to each child involved. The program must follow the participant as well as the human and physical environment. So if they live by the forest, then it would be going for walks. If they live by the beach, it would be going for walks on the beach. If they have fear of movement, then we add music and dancing to the program, so the child loses her fear of movement, or at least improves. And the program must be constantly updated to changing parameters, participatory action research, okay? Because if they move to a different apartment, if they change school in the middle, if they have COVID lockdown, okay? Everything is constantly changing, and it can be done with this kind of intervention. I want to also mention a few other projects that are now in motion. For instance, there is a multi-center research going on. It's almost ending. By the end of this month, it will end. In Denmark, Australia, and Israel. This project was funded by International Red Syndrome Foundation, and it's mostly about functional and participation goals. So going out to the mall, going out for shopping, going out to throw the garbage, all kinds of elements like this. Another one is one that just started last month. Okay, this is research that we're doing now in Italy. It's a project that is supervised by an application that we've built. It's an anti-scoliotic remote rehabilitation intervention. We've built an application that actually can give us daily updates on what the child is doing. Okay, so this was also supported by International Red Syndrome Foundation. So thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I want to thank the families and the girls with Rett syndrome who have worked very nicely and very hard and accomplished a lot. I want to thank the ERET in Italy for allowing us to do the research projects in Sicily and Northern Italy, and the one that is going on now all across Italy with scoliosis. I want to thank International Red Syndrome Foundation for supporting the research that is done now in Italy with scoliosis, the one that has been done in Northern Italy 2 years ago, and the one that is multi-centered in Denmark and Australia. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Meir. It's really interesting and fantastic to see how this remote telehealth is making such a difference. And if there's anything good that's come out of the pandemic, then I think it has been development, particularly of these sort of resources and where you can't get hands-on therapy. So access to someone like Meir and he's training other physiotherapists, then that's fantastic for our children. So Meir will return when we've had Jean-Christophe Roux's presentation and the pair will be available for questions then. So it's my pleasure now to hand over to Jean-Christophe Roux, who's joining us live from France, I believe. Yeah. So good morning, Jean-Christophe Roux. Thank you for giving up your time. And if you have some slides, are you able to share your slides?
Yeah. It is fine. Just a question. I try to share my PowerPoint, and I have some problem. I don't know exactly why.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm trying to share my PowerPoint.
If you're struggling, you could possibly then email if it's not too big. It depends if it's got video. You could email it to Laura and we could share it from there.
I will do it right now. Probably it will be easier anyway, just to have a sort of back. Yeah. Laura, up. Sorry.
That's okay.
You can also email to the info of Rett Syndrome EU. Maybe it's easier than my email. We'll pick it up from there.
I have Laura, yeah. Okay. And I try to send, yeah, my talk, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably too big, but I don't know how, because it was fine for the previous. Because it
wouldn't be an online meeting if we didn't have some technical glitch, would it?
I'm looking for, because I have, there is one place in it's share the content. It should be there. No. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know why I should not be able to share, because I have my presentation just in front of me, and that's stupid. Ajouter, no, gallery, mode, extension, application.
People want to take a comfort break for a few minutes. If you need to stretch your legs, have a bio break, as people are now calling them, then please do.
How can I'm looking for. Probably I have to send, sorry, to Laura. I'm sending up. Okay.
Have you got that, Laura?
Yeah, just
Not yet.
Not yet. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I was. It's really tricky because during the COVID time, I mean, we had so many visio conference that was fine, and suddenly it's a little bit more complicated. Sorry.
what we could do, Jean-Christophe, if it's easier for you and for Laura just to upload that now, we could bring forward the break. We could have a 10, 15-minute break now.
And probably, I mean, I don't know if it's realistic, but you could ask to Meir some questions during the time, just to the time. I don't know if it's good or not, but
yeah, that's fine. We can do that as an alternative. Meir, are you here? Are you still online? I think you're on mute, Meir. Oh, we can hear you now. So if we take some questions, apologies just for the delay there. Apologies for that. We'll upload the presentation and then share it from our end. So if people have some questions for Meir, Meir is now online and live. If you'd like to raise your hand and we can put some questions to Meir about his work and his presentation. Either raise your hand physically or do the raised hand symbol. That would be great, please, and then come off mute. Meir, I wonder if you, you know, I'd and a couple of the other organisations had written in support of a new project that you're initiating. Are you in a position to share a little bit of information about that?
So here I'm okay.
Hello, Meir, where have you gone?
So
I'm here. I'm here. You mean about the new project in Italy?
Yes, the one we wrote in support of. So that's the one you've just started then.
Yeah, the one we just started it's a program that's specifically intended for improving scoliosis. It's 2 sessions of 10 girls each. We construct a program for them and also some special chairs and devices that they should be positioned on. And each 10 girls are followed for a whole year doing the program, and then we see at the end of the year how it turned out and how their spine looks. So basically the first group started we built this application. They're on the application, each parent and each caregiver and each educational staff member can find the child that he's treating, and there's a list of things that they're supposed to do with spread across a week, so they can see everything. And the application actually calls them ahead and saying, in 15 minutes you need to do this exercise, and then at the end of each week they get a table showing which of the exercise they have done, which they have done completely, which have been done partially, and then the person who is in charge of the whole program, which is my PhD student Alberto Romano, can watch it at the end of each week. He can see who has done everything and who is having difficulties. Then he can call them and ask them what are the difficulties that they're experiencing and change the program according to what they find, or maybe enhance, because they can say that they can make more. Or so it's the same program, but with the application giving us much more better follow-up on each participant, and also better reminder for participants to actually do the program.
That's fantastic. Thank you. What age are those children, please, here?
Between I think it was 6 to 16. Everyone with a spinal curve which is between 10 and 40 degrees. Yeah, that's a characteristic of participants.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Any questions from anybody else?
Stella raised her hand before.
Stella. you want to come off mute, Stella?
Yeah, I only wanted to thank you for your good advices, because our daughter is now, since your last webinars during the first lockdown in Austria, we were watching your webinars, and since then she is sitting on the edge of the stool, and her upper legs are better now, and her moving is better now, her getting up. So thanks a lot for these hints, which are really, really practical, which I can give the advice to everybody else. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
I think that's the beauty of work that you do, Meir, that you realise, you know, it needs to fit in with family life for it to be successful for everybody, because there are so many factors and things to deal with when you have a child with Rett, and you make it very easy, possible and realistic. So thank you for that approach particularly.
Thank you.
Any questions from anybody else?
There are 2 more hands raised.
Okay, I can't see all those. So yes, if
Marie, if you may.
Yes, hi Meir. It's good to see you again. And it was very nice to hear that this research is being continued. Very happy about that. And of course, you can understand. I'm curious. Is the application that you're using, is that approved already? Is that something that we can share? Because I think that has great promise, specifically with all the lockdown and all the pandemic problems. So was that approved specifically separately, or is it part of the research still? And do we just have to wait for the results? Because I'm quite curious, as you understand.
Because the research is done in Italy, and I know that many in Italy don't speak other language than Italian, then the application front is now in Italian. We are now translating it to English, and then it will probably be translated to Hebrew, Arabic, and Russian, and then we can go on and translate it to other languages. But for now, it's just Italian, and now it's being reassessed and changed. So because there weren't any bugs, but it was a bit difficult for the therapist to use. So we're making some changes. It's still in the development progress, but it's actually being used now in Italy for the research. But now we slowly make it more accessible and more easy to use.
Okay, it's good to hear. I'd love to translate it to Dutch. I think it's an instrument that is very valuable now that we all struggle with doing the research hands-on, as our country is almost back in lockdown again. So I think we'll have to deal with this for the next couple of years, and this could be very good for research, but also to support parents. Absolutely, thank you for that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's a good idea.
I think we have one last question before we go to Jean-Christophe.
Yeah, the question is from me. So I would like to ask, although this program has to be individually adapted to each girl, is there any possibility that this research will eventually lead to certain common guidelines that all Rett communities can share throughout Europe, so that the local physicians can start from a certain point? Because here, for example, in Croatia, we have 2 very aspiring young physicians, and they would like to learn more about this. So they need somewhere to start from, and then maybe ask for specific adaptations for each girl. So is there any possibility to transfer this in future into some common guidelines?
Yeah, actually, the research that is multi-centered, which is done in Denmark with Michelle Stoholt, and in Australia with Jenny Downs, and in Israel by me, one of the end product is going to be a site where you have all kinds of exercises and suggestions for work, and so it will be kind of a guideline of how to work, and also the research that has been finished in Italy 2 years ago is also going to come out as kind of a site for suggestions for exercise with girls with Rett syndrome. So, but I think both of them are going to be kind of helpful for parents and associations or professionals in constructing this kind of intervention for other countries and other girls.
Thank you. Okay.
Very good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So thank you again, Meir, for your presentation and for staying to answer some questions. Always really valuable to hear from you, and